Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are finally back in the gear garage to take a look at the Fender Modern Player Telecaster Thinline Deluxe. I just recently picked up this guitar off of Reverb. This has been a goal of mine for a very long time, to get a guitar with the Fender name on it. So before we take this thing apart, let's take a minute to talk about what this guitar is, where it comes from, and why I got it. So from 2012 to 2018, Fender had their Modern Player line, which was essentially a line of more modern guitars, slightly different from the usual stuff. As you can see, this one has two P90 pickups on a Tele Thinline, which is very unusual. They had some very weird ones. I'll just put up a picture on the screen, but essentially this was for the people who just want something different. Now, of all of them in that series, in my opinion, this one was the best. You have the two P90 pickups, maple neck, which in this case it's actually a flamed maple neck, which we'll get into that in a second, and we got an amazing mahogany body. Now, when you're looking into these guitars, there's one problem that's going to pop up that for some people this is actually going to be a big issue, and it's that it's made in China. Now, do not be scared. This is a full-on Fender electric guitar. Everything about this guitar is to the specs and standards that you'd expect from an American or Mexican Fender. The only difference is that it wasn't made in this country. Now, this guitar was made, I am pretty sure, in the same factory as the Squier Classic Vibe guitars, and those are some of the highest quality import guitars you can get today, but there are many things that really separate this in terms of specs and just overall quality. So the first thing that's different from a Squier that is probably not noticeable to most people, but it's definitely noticeable in person and when you pick it up, is this finish. Now, it looks like poly. It is poly, but it's not poly. What I mean by that is there's two types of poly. When you say poly, 90% of the time it's referring to polyurethane, which is a very plasticky type finish. It's what you find on pretty much every import guitar. This is polyester. Polyester is not polyurethane. Polyester is closer to lacquer, but with the durability of polyurethane. So what this means is you have a thinner finish that is super high gloss and very sticky, similar to lacquer, but it will last longer and it just feels nicer than polyurethane to the touch. So you will never find polyester on a Squier. It's one of those higher end upgrades that they put on this because it is a real Fender. This is not just a rebranded Squier. This is a genuine Fender electric guitar. Now, secondly is the quality control. So when you're buying an import guitar, a lot of times they won't have the best quality control. Now, of course, they have to make a profit, and to keep the prices as low as possible, they're not going to have, the right checks. They're not going to make sure everything's perfect. They're just going to put out the guitar. Now, let's take an import brand like Squier, for example. They need to keep a profit. They need to keep the prices low. So they're not going to be checking every single detail to make sure that it is perfect. But this guitar, so far from my experience and from what I've read online, the quality control is a lot better than Squier. They put in the effort to make sure that things like the tuners, these are functioning fine. They might be made from the same machines as Squier, but they'll take the best ones, make sure they're functional, no slippage. In my opinion, these tuners are amazing. They're just really smooth, hold tune perfectly, although we'll get to the nut in a second, so that might be a thing. In terms of quality, this is an astounding instrument. Okay, so now the big moment you've all been waiting for, the point of this video, we're going to take a look at the specs. We're going to move this pickguard, take a look at these pods, take a look at the output jack, the pickups. I'm not going to take off the neck, that seems like a lot of work. I'm just going to try to get a good visual of how amazing this flame maple neck is. And if you stick around on my channel, make sure to like and subscribe because we'll be doing a sound demo of this very, very soon. So we got all the screws off and now we can remove this pick guard. And one of the things I love about this design is, first of all, this is a 22 fret neck, but it goes all the way in. This isn't an overhang like you'd find on a typical 22 fret neck. This neck won't fit in a traditional Tele neck pocket. It'll mess with your scale length and everything, but it works for this purpose. So if I want to take off this pick guard, because these are P90 pickups, they're mounted directly to the body. So I can just pull it, and now we have access to the control cavities without having to remove the strings, which is great if you want to do some quick mods or fixes. So taking a first look here, Very dirty underneath this pickguard. Reminder, this is not a brand new guitar. This is probably about 9 years old, because according to the serial number, this one was manufactured in 2011. So this is like the first year of this model. So I'm not sure if anything about this will be different. You can see here these two P90 pickups. I'll take them out in a second just to look at the bottom, just to see exactly what type of pickups these are. I know they're MP90s, but I don't really know much else. So we take a look at these pots. They're enormous. These are full-size pots, alpha pots. You can see right there. So while these are not CTS pots, they're still going to be very good, hopefully last a very long time. Now a quick look at this routing here. It's very clean. The edges look very smooth. They definitely did a great job on this. There you can see the output jack, nothing special. The soldering, I mean, I don't really know what to compare it to. It's one of those things that doesn't make too big of a difference. So I lied, I'm actually not going to take out these pickups. I just sort of got a glimpse underneath this one. There's no sort of marking, no stickers. So the best we can assume is that they're decent. I mean, they sound good in my opinion, just a little warm, not the same amount of brightness that I've had from other pickups, but they're overall pretty good. Bringing it over to the back here, this is a string through body. Nice ferrules, it's all even. I know in some guitars some people complain that it's off, but honestly, who notices stuff like that? To my eyes, they're completely fine. So now over here, you'll notice that it has a Les Paul style toggle cover. And you can see here the body is fully hollow throughout everywhere. I'm pretty sure there's only just a center block. And it's a decent switch. It works. In my opinion, it's a little wiggly, but that's not a big deal because I mostly just use the neck pickup. You got that Fender neck plate, and it's not just printed on there. This is actually engraved. You can probably see there. 3D. Now this neck, super nice. It is not a satin finish from the factory, but someone has sanded this back. I honestly prefer that because, as I said, this is not a regular polyurethane finish. This is polyester, and it's super sticky. I can definitely understand why they did that. Although from what I have read from people online, just from playing it, eventually it'll polish back up into a gloss. Maybe not super high gloss, but it'll become glossy eventually. I can already notice in a few spots it's becoming glossy. But just look at this angle here. You can see that heavy flamage along that neck. It's just amazing. You definitely will not find that in a Squier. I'm just saying. And of course, this is a one-piece maple neck. So we have a skunk stripe on the back. The fretboard is all the same piece as the back of the neck. Up here we have Fender, unbranded, but I'm assuming they're made by Fender. Vintage style tuners. They're super smooth. They work amazing in my opinion. Tuning stability on this is fantastic. You can see here we got a small chip in the paint. That's really the only defect in this entire guitar other than this other chip in the neck. But that one you can't actually feel it. Now back over to the top, you can see these frets. They're not the best. These frets, the top of them they're slightly flat, but they're super smooth. So I think what just happened was someone did a fret job to this, maybe, that's my guess, and they didn't really crown them. They just filed them down and polished them, which is okay. They play smoothly. The edges are amazing, no sharp edges. And then up here, we have a graphite nut. Now, this nut is definitely not stock. It came with a synthetic bow nut, so this is definitely an upgrade. This is what I think most of the tuning stability is due to, because I've never had a guitar with tuning stability this good, and I've also never had a guitar with a graphite nut. The nut is cut perfectly, probably set up by a technician, although the edges here on this side, see that? Just kind of sharp. So playing up here, sometimes I'll bump into that. It's not that big of a deal, but I'll definitely take some sandpaper to that or something, smooth it out. Of course, back on the headstock, you can still see that flamage all along the headstock. We have these two vintage style string trees, so they're not like the T ones or the roller ones. These are like truly the vintage style. Vintage style tuners. In the opinion of many people, including myself, these are the best type of tuner, because when you're restringing, you just have to poke it in, wrap it around a couple times, and it's fine. If we take a look at this F-hole here, there is paint on the inside, but it's not polished, obviously. I don't think they're gonna stick a Dremel in there. The switch, as I said, it's a little, you can hear that, it's a little wiggly. This bridge, it has some patina to it. So this guitar was definitely kept in a humid area. I got this from a store in South Carolina, so that could be why. But it has Fender branded saddles. This is a Strat hardtail bridge. Now for DC resistance, for the neck pickup, we got 6 point something. I think my multimeter's broken. Okay, take two. I wiggled it around a bit. I'm pretty sure it's 6.63. And then for the bridge, we got 6.57. So for the middle, that leaves us with 3.14, 3.74. This multimeter's batteries need to be replaced probably. That's not a good sign. And that is going to be pretty much it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe. Always feel free to comment your opinion, and I'm out.